Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3.
It's already 7 o'clock.
Okay, we're going to start the meeting. Please stand, flag salute.
Oh, this way.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mr. Mohan Patel? Ms. Peng?
Here.
Ms. Conway?
Here?
Dr. Chen? Ms. Bodowski?
Here.
Ms. Madiker?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Here.
7 present.
Okay. Opening statement, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of the notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 5th, 2021. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So today we have a presentation of esports. So first, right, Dr. Reagan?
Yeah, I think it's a video presentation. Mr. Barker, you're going to set that up? If the board members would step down, because I think we're going to pull the screen down. As the board members are returning to their seats, I'll just say a few words. You know, we wanted to show the esports arena with some students in it. Obviously, we can't all walk down there at this time of night and have children in there. But we're really excited about beginning that process, and we had a ribbon cutting the last week in November, and it was great to see the children in there and actively engaged in those activities. And at that time, we were informed that the club had over 500 students that were interested in it, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the year progresses. And while some of us look at that and we see children playing games and things like that, there's also a great deal of things that they're doing regarding strategy, preparation, and competition that isn't immediately evident in those videos. So we'll continue to report out to the board. Thought it'd be nice to see children in there, and maybe at a future meeting, have the children come and, you know, share their thoughts and their perspective on how well it's going. Thank you, Mr. Board President.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple on top of that, because I went to the ribbon cutting ceremony, and towards the end of the room, there was some of the stuff was not completed. Today, I just saw they completed the broadcasting, and you can see the excitement of the students. They're not only just playing this, there are also other things like marketing and promotions. They design their own T-shirt with their own logos. They're selling these T-shirts and then to the students. So I hope that this is going to be a success, and they'll win some big competitions.
Agreed. Thank you.
So next up, we have Mr. Benedict is going to talk to us about the transportation.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to update every board in the community regarding the bus tracking system. It is operational. What we've done is we've piloted it right now at 4 schools, 2 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school. Approximately 88 students have cards been sent out. What it allows us to do is not only track the buses using the GPS systems on board, but the information feeds back, and the students who have scanned onto the bus can also be seen through the student scan activity. This information then becomes available through the MyStop app, which the parents can download. We've sent out instructions to the parents and to the building administrators on the usage of it. Once they download the app, they'll be able to see where their student's bus is in proximity to the actual stop. If the student is scanned onto the bus is going to be late, and then using the e-link system, they can actually determine what their students' accommodations are on the bus as well. So that is functional. We've sent out all the communication. Now we want to wait for the feedback coming back with respect to parent usage. We'll send out a brief survey to parents in a week or so once we come back from the break to see if they're actually using it and what kind of feedback we have on it, and as well as the buildings. So all of our principals, assistant principals, head secretaries have access, and the parents. Any questions?
Yes, Sherry.
You said 88 students have those cards?
Yes, approximately 88 were distributed through the buildings. We sent the passes to the building for the principals and staff to distribute, and then the e-communication went out to the parents on how to download the app, frequently asked questions and stuff like that. At first, we've sent it just to those parents who received the cards. Our buses are the only buses that you can track with the system. We transport on a daily basis approximately 1,400 students using our buses. So the next step is we'll send all the parents who could potentially be on a bus how to download the app. So they may not see a scan on their student, but they would still get the bus information. And if they want to opt into getting alerts or notifications, they can do that as well. That's a personal decision.
And which schools have these been piloted in?
What schools?
Yeah,
It's Washington, Lindenau, John Adams, and Edison High.
okay.
Okay.
And do we have the potential to put these on the buses that we contract with, or just our own buses?
This is right now, it's only on our buses.
I mean, in the future?
In order to put it on the contractor buses, it'd have to be something that was included in the contract that was set up in the bid process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Anyone
Anyone else?
Member, any questions? Yeah, I'm just very excited to hear that. It's, I've been asking this for 2.5 years now. So it's operational, or
Correct.
we're going to operational in the next semester?
It's operational now. I spot checked one of the routes this morning.
Okay.
There were 4 students that I saw scan activity on. I just touched base with Mr. Ross before we came in. He even asked about athletics for it. So it's one of those things where we could do that down the road.
Okay, so the app can track where the bus, when is the bus coming, where the bus it is, and the kids scan it in, the parents will know the kids got on the bus. When they get off the bus, they can also know that, right?
Correct. They touch the card to the scanning device, it emits an audible sound, puts a student on, same thing when they're getting off. So the drivers are also aware to work with the kids, take their time with them and everything, so this way they get accustomed to it, to just gather the information and the feedback and see how it goes.
So it's on 10 buses right now, right? Is that 10?
Yeah, the scanners
still?
are on 10 buses. We've got 8 routes that are currently, the cards have been distributed for.
Okay, thank you.
Board President, I have a quick
just
question.
Just want to, ask the parents to do us a big favor. For those 88 students that can use this app, please provide feedback to us and use the parent portal to provide, not parent portal, I'm sorry, parent help desk to provide us with any comments or emails, because we want to hear from you so we can improve for the next school year. We have 27 buses, plus we're purchasing another 30, so we're looking at 50 buses. And if we can, if this is going to be successful, it will help a lot with the parents and students when it comes to the transportation services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mo.
You just asked the question, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's move on. We have recognitions. We have 2 board members, Mrs. Conway and Dr. Chen, and today is their last meeting. So we want to recognize them for the contributions they have made to the board for the past 3 years. And so if you can read the recognition, thank you.
Resolution, whereas Elizabeth Conway, during the last 3 years, has served as a member of the Edison Township Board of Education, serving on various committees during her years as a board member. And whereas Elizabeth Conway has earned the admiration and respect of the community, the state, and the students. And whereas Elizabeth Conway has aggressively met all challenges and has continually represented the school district in the best interest of the students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Edison Township Board of Education extends its congratulations to Elizabeth Conway for this outstanding commitment to the Edison Township School District, and that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the Board of Education meeting on this date, and a copy be presented to Elizabeth Conway with the suitable expression of thanks. Adopted by the Edison Township Board of Education, December 21st, 2021. Resolution, whereas Dr. Yuna Chen, during the last 3 years, has served as a member of the Edison Township Board of Education, serving on various committees during her years as a board member, and whereas Dr. Yuna Chen has earned the admiration and respect of the community, the state, and the students, and whereas Dr. Yuna Chen has aggressively met all challenges and has continually represented the school district in the best interest of the students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Edison Township Board of Education extends its congratulations to Dr. Yuna Chen for this outstanding commitment to the Edison Township School District, and that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the Board of Education meeting on this date, and a copy be presented to Dr. Yuna Chen with a suitable expression of thanks. Adopted by the Edison Township Board of Education, December 21st, 2021.
Thank you. Now we move on. Right now, we're open for public comments on resolutions only. The resolutions listed on the agenda. Any public comments? Please come to the podium. You have 6 minutes. Thank you. Yes, Brian. Who? Oh, I didn't see. Okay.
Susan Campione, 8 Schiffer Court in Edison. First off, I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy and safe holiday and new year, and hopefully things will calm down with all of this crazy variant that's going on. I just wanted to wish Una and Elizabeth well. Elizabeth, thank you for always fighting for the teachers and the students and parents, especially with special ed. And I know that we're going to see you in the cheap seats over here and speaking up. And I know you've been doing it for years. And thank you for all that you did. And thank you, Una. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Brian.
Sorry, I was looking for the cleaner. But I did want to come up here and congratulate Una and Mrs. Conway for serving the Edison Public Schools. Ms. Conway, specifically you, I've gotten to know you the last 2 years. So I want to say your heart was in the right place. It was here for our, I'm sorry I'm not speaking about Mrs. Chen, I just did not know her well. But you I particularly got to know. Your heart was in the right place. It was here for children, it was here for staff, it was here for the community. I'm honored that I am stepping up there. I hope I could fulfill your shoes. And I just wanted to say, I hope you enjoy what's coming up next. I'm looking forward to seeing you out here, listening to your ideas and doing what's best for us in public schools. So I wish you the best. I wish Mrs. Chen the best. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody up there. And I know Douglas feels the same. You guys have a phenomenal night, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Jerry.
Jerry Campione, Edison Township Education Association, 2 Ethel Road. I just want, on behalf of the association, thank Dr. Chen and Mrs. Conway for your service to the district and for your commitment to the students. And on a personal level, I have worked with Mrs. Conway as a colleague. I've worked with Mrs. Conway as a board member, but more importantly, I consider Mrs. Conway a friend. So thank you, Elizabeth, for all you've done. You have a seat next to us anytime you wish. Dr. Chen, best of luck to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? See none, we move on. The resolutions. First, the personnel report. Can I have a motion on the personnel report?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, Shivi, Mohin and Shivi.
Mr.
Roll call.
Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Madiker?
Yes.
Ms. Podolsky?
Yes.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Thank you. So next up, we have multiple items, administration, or the settlement agreement, the curriculum instruction, and pupil services, those 3 items. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, Shannon and Mohan.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Madiker?
Yes.
Ms. Podolsky?
Yes.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Last, we have the finance, the minutes, board secretary report, and the finance resolution. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Shivi, Mohin and Shivi.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Madiker?
Yes.
Ms. Podolsky?
Yes.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Okay. Upcoming meetings. The reorganization meeting will be on January 3rd, and if it's printed on your agenda, it says Education Center, it's not correct. It's in J.P. Stevens. January 3rd, 7 o'clock, J.P. Stevens, for the reorg meeting. And in January, we have 2 meetings, caucus meeting. Right now, January 20th is also scheduled at JP, and the public meeting on Monday, January 25th. It's also at JP. So January, all the meetings at JP, January 3rd, 20th, and 25th. Coming up, we have the committee reports. First, Athletic Committee, Mrs. Ben.
Okay. The athletic committee had a meeting Thursday, December 2nd at 12 o'clock at Ed Center. In attendance were me, Jerry Shi, Bira Patel, and Mohin Patel via the phone. The committee discussed the status of the fields at Woodrow Wilson Middle School. I have heard a lot of parents complaining about the fields. It's so uneven and it's kind of dangerous for the kids to play on it. So the committee agreed that the district should get an estimate for installing a sprinkler system and having the field seeded. Dr. Brigham will secure these estimates and bring them to the Finance and Facility Committee for review. The committee also asked to get the prices of bollards to stop automobile from gaining access to the field. The committee also requested additional bike racks to be ordered for both high schools. Dr. Brigham informed the committee that the bike racks have already been ordered for both schools. The committee also asked to secure estimate for creating permanent cricket pitches for Thomas Jefferson Middle School, similar to those previously installed in Woodrow Wilson School. There are areas of the playground at FDR School that needed to be repaired. The district will get this done as soon as possible. Concerns were also revised where children are required to ride the athletic buses to and from athletic events, and this will be looked by Dr. Brigham. Currently, there were no middle school volleyball teams, and this was previously approved, I think 2 years ago in the budget. Dr. Brigham will also look at this and report back to the committee. We're really hoping to have volleyball programs in our middle school, not just as a feeder to the high school volleyball team programs, and also the students has been really interested in this volleyball teams from their gym class. So they're really hoping to have, maybe not a team, at least an intramural program, so that they can play in the spring season when the court is actually not used. Concerns were also raised about having middle school basketball tryout on the same days. This was happened this year, actually reduced the trial time for both teams. So we should be able to do this in different times, different days at least. Also, another question was posed by having the current cricket field rolled on a regular basis. Dr. Brigham informed the committee that the district has purchased a roller and it is used on the pitches when needed. The meeting adjourned at about 1 p.m. That's all.
Okay. So Dr. Brigham, did you get any updates on the middle school volleyball? We still, do we have it or?
I have to get back to you on that, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. I don't have that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Township Liaison Committee, Mrs. White.
The Township Liaison Committee was held on Tuesday, December the 7th at 11 a.m. at the Education Center. In attendance were Councilwoman Joyce Freeman, Mayor-elect Council VP Sam Joshi, BOE VP Mohan Patel, BOE members Virginia White, Superintendent Dr. Bernard Bragan, and Dr. Edward Aldarelli, Human Resources Director. In attendance via Zoom were Councilman Ajay Patel and BOE members Shivi Prasad Madikar and Biral Patel. Also in attendance via Zoom were Mayor Thomas Lanke, Deputy Fire Chief, Office of Emergency Management Coordinator Andy Toth, Maureen Ruane, Township Business Administrator, Deputy Chief Robert Dudash, and Sergeant Douglas Turner of Edison Police Department. The committee welcomed everyone to the meeting. We began our meeting with Deputy Chief Toth. He provided a COVID update. Booster shot clinics are scheduled for December 13th for employees. The township is working with FEMA to obtain monies from Hurricane Ida's storm damage. Both Chief Toth and Joyce Ship Freeman are working along with Dr. Bragan on a program directed toward high school students that express an interest in becoming either firefighters or policemen. This project has been expanded to include various township departments. This project is being coordinated with school administrators. Deputy Chief Toth stated that he is working with Joyce Ship Freeman on connecting with students. Quite a few students do not have direction on what they want to become. The plan is to create a video for students to view so that they can see what is available to them. The video is expected to be ready for January. Mayor Lenke provided us with an update on Stelton School project. Mrs. White asked about Recreation Open Space Inventory, ROSI, for the status of the Stelton property. Maureen Ruane, Township Business Administrator, suggested that we meet with the Green Acres representatives, and if Dr. Bragan gets representatives from the district, she will set up a meeting. Dr. Bragan said he would facilitate the meeting. We will have an update on the status of the Truman Avenue property when Mr. Northgrave returns from vacation. Mrs. Madiker asked if the environmental study was done, when the environmental study was done on the Kilmer property. Maureen said it was done at least 10 years ago. Mrs. Madiker suggested that we contact Dan Michaud, former business administrator, to find information on this study. Dr. Bragan said he would facilitate. Mrs. White asked about the before and after school programs. It was suggested at a previous meeting about the possibility of having high school students volunteer. She spoke with Joyce Furcha from Edison Recreation, who stated that J.P. Stevens has a program in place already, and it could possibly be expanded to Edison high school students as well. Crossing guards. Deputy Chief Bob Dudash and Sergeant Douglas Turner provided us with information regarding the issue of crossing guards. The township is exploring a variety of options and at present are looking to consolidate a few of the crossing guard locations. They have 6 or 7 applicants in the process of becoming crossing guards. This will have a big impact on improving the situation. The police department is reaching out to the community and continues to make everyone aware of the need for crossing guards. We asked Deputy Chief Dudash and Sergeant Turner about a concern a parent living on Jackson Avenue had about truck traffic during the beginning of the school day and at dismissal. The question was raised as to the possibility of traffic being limited during those hours, especially truck traffic. Deputy Chief Dudash is aware of these concerns, and they are working on possible solutions. Mayor-elect Joshi said that possible solutions would be explored, including Little Avenue. Mrs. White also mentioned concerns with traffic patterns at J.P. Stevens. Mrs. Madiker spoke of the poor shape of Floyd Road, and the road and sidewalk are in need of repair. Deputy Chief Dudash spoke of the success of police intervention requiring people to make a right turn only when exiting the J.P. Stevens campus to increase the traffic flow, and this made a significant improvement. Mrs. Madiker said that the problem still exists, and the way traffic is managed in the parking lot causes some of the congestion. Mr. Mohan Patel suggested that Floyd Street be open to normal traffic, and Deputy Chief Dudash will look into these options and explore all suggestions. Additionally, Mrs. Madiker suggested creating designated bike lanes for students. Deputy Chief Dudash will share this information with the engineering department. Sergeant Turner will work with us to take a look at what can be done on site to enhance the traffic flow at J.P. Stevens. Mrs. White shared a rough estimate for the proposed Stelton School project. The cost is roughly 14 to 16 million. We are still waiting for one more estimate. The issue of overcrowding is a priority in the district. With that being said, Mayor-elect Joshi stressed that Mayor Lenke has been very helpful with the transition and that Mayor-elect Joshi is prioritizing the schools on his agenda. He promised to allocate $2 million for a new bond for a referendum. Edison Art Society. Gloria Dittman provided the committee with an update. There is a new exhibit at the municipal building for those who have the opportunity to visit there. The gazebo in Papiani Park remains a work in progress. The Art Society is planning banners honoring hometown heroes. The Art Society will provide funding for this project. The next meeting for the Township Board of Ed Liaison Committee is scheduled for February 8th at 11 a.m. at the Education Center. Respectfully submitted, Virginia White. But Jerry, can I just add a
Yes.
little bit to that?
Yes.
That meeting was on December 7th. And I believe it was last week, maybe, or the end of the week before that, Sergeant Turner, Deputy Chief Dudash, Dr. Bragan, and I think Pat Cassane were all at J.P. Stevens to view, on the spot at, the beginning of the school day, the actual traffic situation. So, it's not something that's falling through the cracks. It's something that they're moving forward with. So, I was really happy to hear that. And, Dr. Bragan, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but, they will look into it and do something.
Yeah, just on that, we were there and kudos to the deputy chief as well as Sergeant Turner for doing that. We were there for over an hour, and then we met for about a half hour afterwards to debrief. They're going to come up with a plan. We have some ideas that we think could help make it go a little bit more seamless and maybe ease the traffic congestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Ginny, on the Stelton School project, it said you have gotten an estimate that it's roughly $14 to $16 million. Did you get something in writing, and from whom?
No, this is actually we have two,
Architects.
architects that are going, that are supposed to give us, the ballpark estimates. One is DMR, that's where this one came from. The other one is USA, that's the one we have been waiting on. And that's the one I'm really looking forward to because he's looked at the property multiple times. But our big problem with Stelton School, or the Stelton School project, is the surrounding property, because that is part of Rossi. And that's we have to deal with that issue as well. But those are just ballparks, and
So DMR hasn't given you anything in
nothing
writing?
in writing, not as yet.
Now, just want to add that price figure is just to remodel, refurbish the building as is a two-story building. If we want to add a third and fourth floor, the price tag will be different. Anybody else? Okay, sorry, I didn't have to turn around. All right, so we have a couple of committees that they were not able to get the report on the agenda, although it was submitted to Judy. But anyone want to? Yeah, you want to go? Yeah,
President
finance
Shi.
facility. Yeah.
Sure. For finance and facility, there's not too much to add, other than what Ms. Shannon already added. In regards to the bollards, basically, Mr. Calabas reviewed the estimates received for installing bollards or a fence at Woodrow Wilson to restrict cars from entering the rear of the property to access the fields. So he's gotten estimates for removable bollards, fencing with a gate, and we said to go back and get some more prices because they were a little too high. So $6,500 for a bollard and $4,200 for gates. We also discussed that Mr. Calabas reviewed the estimates received for improvements at the fields at Woodrow Wilson, since we talked about the conditions of them before. So he got an estimate for sprinklers and seeding, but we said to go back and get more estimates in regards to sprinklers and seeding, sprinklers alone and seeding alone. So this way we get a better idea as to what the cost would be regarding the whole field. The other aspect we talked about was basically for TJMS, for a estimate for creating a permanent cricket pitch. The quote came back at $48,500. We said it was a little too high, so to go back and try to get a few more quotes. So we're basically looking forward to more quotes, and more quotes. And other than that, basically, it's we asked about the update on the Lincoln addition, and we were informed, the committee, that it's still on the schedule for all classrooms to open by September 2022, with the exception of the prefabricated steel building, which is the gym, due in December 2022. And that was for finance facilities, which was on Wednesday, December the 8th, 2021. In attendance was Dr. Berrigan, Dr. Alzarelli, Ann Cluck, Dr. Chen, myself, Jerry Shi, Elizabeth Conway, and Will Calabas. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
How many quotes did we receive for the cricket pitches?
We only received one, so we're going out for bid to get more.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Any other questions?
Mr. Shi?
Yes, go ahead.
Judy Cox had contacted me because I didn't get to read the Middlesex County minutes
Yes,
last month.
go ahead. Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
ready for them, and I'll pass copies?
Yeah.
Because we didn't get the copies to go out. Okay, the Middlesex County School Boards Association county meeting was held on November 22nd, 2021. Lucille Bloom, president of the Middlesex County School Boards Association, opened the meeting and led the flag salute. In attendance from the Edison Board of Ed, in person, Carol Bodofsky and Elizabeth Conway, and dinner was lovely, and virtual, Jerry Shi and Mohin Patel. Information for newly elected Board of Ed members was discussed. To work with Board of Education Secretary to complete their registration and training. There is a criminal background checks and fingerprints that need to be submitted within 30 days of certification of election results. In-person training is being held on the weekends of February 4th to 6th or March 4th to 6th. The Friday or first day session of both dates is a virtual evening session, with Saturday and Sunday being in person. Bruce Young gave greetings from the National School Boards Association, New Jersey School Board Association officers. Joyce Mehta gave a Board of Directors update, and Christopher Jones gave a virtual legislative update to the people in attendance. An update from the field, Mary Ann Friedman recommended the book Fundamentals of School Board Membership from the New Jersey School Boards Association. It is good for new and not so new members. There was a presentation by Bert Mandelbaum, MD, on changing school start times for the health and education of adolescents. It was promoting better health and educational outcomes for students. This is a hot topic for schools throughout our area, and we actually discussed it at last month's meeting here. Those of us who had been there, we just didn't get the minutes in there. And respectfully submitted, Carol Bodofsky.
Thank you very much, Carol. Shannon, you want to talk about the CTC?
Yeah. So the Curriculum and Technology Committee has a meeting last Thursday. The meeting minutes has been submitted, so board members will see it a little bit later. In attendance is myself, Una Chen, Mohin Patel, Shivi Prasad Madhukar, Belinda Mahabir, Gail Polikowski, and Dr. Brigham. Several items were discussed. High school quarterly will be administered for marking period 2. The quarterly have been adjusted to only include content taught in marking period 1 and 2 of this year. Several middle school science class will be piloting a new science textbook for marking period 3. Teachers will receive professional development and training prior to the pilot. Middle school science book has been requested by the board for several years, so we're really excited to have this book in a pilot book, because since right now we don't have a real textbook, it's kind of homegrown material. So the board we're really looking forward to this book. In response to the middle school social study class survey that was brought up during last public meeting, the committee also in response to the concerns that raised by parents during the past few years, especially election year, the committee also discussed about the importance of keeping politics out of our classrooms. Contents and teaching materials should be impartial and neutral and following the curriculum in place. We need to teach the students how to think and not what to think. Also discussed was issues about late grading on tests and quizzes. Some students did not get their test or quiz graded 4 to 6 weeks after the test took place. Therefore, did not know that if they're lagging behind until it's kind of late and became very hard to catch up. The administration assured the committee that Genesis should be updated at least once a week, and test grades should be entered usually within 2 weeks. There is also a new proposal to move the middle school world languages classes and electives from an AB schedule to a semester schedule. The proposal is for next school year, and it's still an ongoing discussion. Since last Thursday, we have heard some concerns from our teachers, and we will make sure that all opinions are heard and discussed before a decision is made. The meeting lasted about an hour and adjourned at 1 p.m. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just want to reiterate on the issue about grading and timing. We heard a lot of, concerns from parents when it comes to grading and, see the kids seeing the result. And sometimes, you have 2 tests and you have a quiz, and the test score is not even graded, but the quiz happened, and the kids end up making exactly the same mistakes as what they did with the things before. So we're hoping that moving forward, we'll get a timely update on that.
Yeah, we could look into that, and I'm sure it's only a couple instances. Most of our teachers are really good with that, getting the grades in on time, because that feedback's important for the students, right? If they have an issue with their performance, to get that feedback, adjust their performance so they could correct it for, the next exam, next quiz, or the next test. I'm pretty sure it's contained, the language somewhat is contained in our grading policy. I think it's 2624. It's on the website that says something about keeping the students informed of their progress throughout the semester. So we'll follow up with that, and we do think it's really important. If we don't have that feedback, we can't really adjust our performance to improve. So thank you. And again, I'm sure it's only a few instances, a few teachers.
Very, limited. Yeah.
And we'll look into that.
Okay, thank you. Any?
Jerry, I have a question for Shannon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shannon, the science program, could you remind me with the grades that are involved in these new textbooks?
I think it's all grades in middle school.
Middle school grades?
Middle school grades, yes.
And it's a pilot, and out of the number of teachers involved in the pilot, what's the percentage of teachers that have actually had access to the new program to give their input?
I don't know the detail of that numbers. Maybe, I think Gil would know.
We can get that information. I
Maybe
know
later.
it didn't start yet. I believe it's starting in the 3rd marking period, and it's across all of our middle schools, across a variety of grade levels. I'll get that information. I don't want to get it wrong, so we'll email that to the full board tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, because the only thing I'm worried about is sometimes the number of teachers that are involved in a pilot doesn't really represent our school district properly. So we need to make sure that no matter what pilot or what we're speaking of regarding the curriculum, we're getting enough feedback from enough teachers, because they're the ones that are going to be using the curriculum in the programs. Thank you.
Yeah, I think they just started it, so, and they haven't even started. They were just brought up on the last meeting, and we usually would get more details later on. Like for the elementary school pilot, we usually get all the details, how many teachers, which schools, and I'm sure we will get that later
Because I can remember a number of years ago, there was the language arts program. It was a very small percentage of teachers, and then we expanded to ensure that it was the program we indeed wanted. So I just want to make sure that the teachers are using the program. They should have a decent say on how they feel. They're not making decisions, but at least we're hearing how they feel about the programs. Thank you.
Can I just add that, I'm confident in our administrative team, as well as the curriculum and technology committee, that they will ensure that there's a representative sample that are included in that survey. Thank you. Pilot program, I mean. Thank you.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing that I did ask was where these books were piloted, and the books were being piloted in, I believe, all the middle schools. So North End as well as South End. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. Now we're open for board member comments. So we're going to go from the top. Mrs. White, any comments?
Okay. I went to the tree lighting ceremony at Clara Barton, and it was beautiful. Thanks in part to the Edison High School Brass Ensemble under the direction of Mark DiNicolo and Joe Ciapina, and the Herbert Hoover Middle School Choir under the direction of Mark Conley. These two very talented groups helped make this event outstanding. It was truly a nice thing, you know, if anybody was able to go see it. Then I also attended the Edison High School Band Concert on December 6th. They were just magnificent. This was, for some of the ninth graders, this was the very first time that these band members were able to play together. And due to COVID, everything's been either virtual or separate. So this was the first time they were able to come together, and they were just great. And then for the town, traditionally, around Christmas time, they have a Santa drive-by, and it's the EMS squads and the First Aid Squad number 1. And, you know, it's usually down in the south end of town. I don't believe they do it in the north end, but they definitely did it here. It's a tradition, and they kept up with it. And I'd just like to thank all of those people who participated, you know, and continued to keep the tradition going. It was great for the children, and us older folks really liked it too. It was a nice thing, very seasonal. And then lastly, for Elizabeth and Dr. Chen, it's been my honor to serve with both of you this year. The children of Edison are always first and foremost in your hearts and minds. I know that. And I know neither one of you will be a stranger, and you're going to keep up with us. You'll never be far away. And I just want to thank you so much for your service. That's it.
Okay. Carol?
Okay. I would also like to personally thank Dr. Chen for her service to our district for the past 3 years. After serving for just 2 years myself, in the current COVID pandemic, I know how challenging every month, week, day, and hour can be serving on the Board of Education for a school district the size of Edison. The job has been challenging and demanding for an unpaid position, and I am very grateful to Dr. Chen for giving her time and effort for the good of all the children of Edison. Thank you, Una. I am glad that I had the opportunity to work with you these 2 years, and thank you again for giving your time and effort to help our schools remain nothing less than excellent. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Thank you. Now, this one's a little harder for me. I've known Elizabeth Conway for over 30 years. I know her solely through working with her in other volunteer roles focused on our local schools and students. When we met, Edison did not even have an elected Board of Education. Times have changed here in Edison, and there have been many challenges facing our town, our schools, our parents, our boards of education, but especially our students and their families. Throughout these years, Elizabeth Conway has been at these meetings whenever possible to make a positive difference in our schools, where we have both served as teachers. She has worked very hard for many years trying to bring back the excellence that Edison has long taken pride in. Like myself, Mrs. Conway ran for the Board of Education as soon as she was allowed after retiring from teaching in the district. Since then, she has given 100% and more to help guide our district through the many challenges it has faced. She will be missed, and not just by me, but I know she won't be a stranger. Thank you, Mrs. Conway.
Thank you. Mrs. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Shi. I had the pleasure, and I will never give up my pleasures, of visiting the J.P. Stevens farm stand. Walking in, talking to the students that I had many years ago, talking to teachers that I have been colleagues with for many years. It's such a fabulous atmosphere going on over there, and I praise the program from now and may it go on forever. And I thank Dr. Tui for enhancing the program, and I thank everyone that's involved in the program. Thank you.
Dr. Chen?
Hi, first, I'll thank the Edison residents for electing me to be on this position 3 years ago, and I'm honored to be a board member of this great school district. So for me, the 3 years of being on the board is a process of learning. I learned how the school functions, and I learned that every small progress is the teamwork of a lot of great people, like our board members, our superintendent, and our staff and educators. They are all great people. They work together to make things happen. It's a great experience to me, and I hope that the new board can continue work together and make our school district better and better. And last, I would wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season. Thanks.
Thank you. Shivi?
So I'd like to thank both Una as well as Elizabeth for their service, and I wish both of them all the very best in the future endeavors. I've known Elizabeth for a very long time, first as a constant at Board of Ed meetings, council meetings, and any other meeting of significance happening anywhere in Edison. For anyone that knows her, knows one thing: she's diligent and she's thorough. She's extremely hardworking and she's fiercely independent. The only thing that guides her is her knowledge, logic, and care for students and staff. And these are the most important qualities a board member can bring. I've always admired your energy, passion, zeal, and your drive. You've been an asset to the board, and knowing you, I know that you will continue to be a constant at Board of Ed meetings. And once again, thank you for your time and thank you for your service, both Elizabeth as well as Una.
Thank you. Bureau?
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen and Mrs. Conway, for your service. So we saw both of you, sitting on that side in the audience, and being here on this side, I can totally vouch that it's so difficult, it's so draining, it's so exhausting, but both of you spent 3 years in this role. Incredible job. Hats off to both of you. Thank you so much for the service to the residents. And Mrs. Conway, a lot of things to learn from you. One of the very important thing is keeping up the energy and passion till at 12:30 in the morning with the same commitment, focusing, being attentive, and making sure you go through every single thing and understand, do the right thing, and try to understand. That's a lot of hard work. So we'll try to learn a lot from you, and we hope we don't miss you. We see you over there next year. So thank you so much, both of you, for your services.
Okay, thank you. Shannon?
Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to say big thank you to Elizabeth and Una for their service on this board for 3 years. I have worked with them on several committees, very impressed of how diligently they worked. Still remember for placement criteria of the curriculum committee, those weekly meetings for almost 3 months, numerous phone calls among us, and talking to parents to get all the input. It is only with your dedicated work that the old point system was replaced with a new, more flexible grouping procedure, giving our students more paths to honor classes. And also for every new textbook and programs piloted in our programs, in our schools, they have done a lot of research on the subject, getting feedback from teachers and students. With their helps on curriculum committee, and of course with the great work of our administration team, the new G&T program is adapting our elementary school. New computer science courses were opened in our middle school, and more AP classes will be available to every grade in our high school. There are just too many things to list. Let me just say, the committee's goal is to provide the high achievers of our district with more advanced opportunities and give the challenged students the help they needed. And Elizabeth and Una both made critical contributions to help us stay focused on that goal. I'm really grateful for the tremendous work that both of them put into this board, especially on the curriculum committee. Elizabeth's experience as a retired teacher certainly helps, and Una, with a full-time job and a child in our school, her industry experience and the first-hand information from school are definitely a bonus to us. And I know how hard it is to work full-time and take care of families and work voluntarily for this board. I truly appreciate your time and effort for the past 3 years, And now, no more weekend or late phone calls about the curriculum. Enjoy your time off. Wish you the best of the luck, and we will all miss you. Thank you.
Thank you. Moen.
What a year. First and foremost, I want to a great thank you to all the board members, the students, the administrators, teachers, parents, and the taxpayers for working together as one team. Getting through this year was a challenge with the pandemic and its variants at our heels every step of the way. Hybrid remote learning, transportation issues in the beginning, Hurricane Ida, and the overall overcrowding issue that continues to haunt us. First and foremost, I want to thank you so much for basically giving me so much more knowledge when you were in all our committees and working together, and the questions you asked were profound, and we're basically going and diving into a lot of the issues, and I thank you for that. That's something that I'm going to learn a lot more from. And Dr. Yuna Chen as well, thank you so much for your service as well. And this is a thankless job, right? But it is something that we do because we are dedicated to our students, we are dedicated to our teachers, we are dedicated to our parents and the taxpayers. And we do it for that sole purpose alone. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. So I just want to add, echo a lot of the comments made by the board members towards Elizabeth and Dr. Chen. Elizabeth has been, been leading the Finance Facility Committee last year, and she's been on the FF Committee this year. And so is Dr. Chen this year on the FFF Committee. So they served on a lot of other committees, but I just want to concentrate on this year what they have accomplished. Without their help, we will not be able to achieve a 0% increase on tax. And without their help, we will not be able to have our budget to move the entire extra state aid into the capital reserve. They have been instrumental in supporting the change of the insurance to self-insure, save $5 million on premium, and we're on track to get another $5 million. The acquisition of Our Savior Church is the final step, is one of the final steps we'll have to have a full-day kindergarten and pre-K. And they also supported the proposal this year to use the rubber roof on 2 of the 3 buildings and reducing the cost from $30 to $19 in order to keep within the $2 million budget. They are extremely supportive in hiring a new architect, and that reduced our architect fee from 5.7% last year to this year, to 5% this year. And we were able to make some changes to the roofing services, reducing payment to a vendor that we paid $170,000 and $140,000 in the past couple of years. And we just heard the cricket fields in Woodrow Wilson and in TJ. They're extremely supportive on that. And the last is, the proposal to have our own bus fleet of 30 buses that will have a long-term impact to our budget saving on that. So Elizabeth and I have not on the same page on a lot of issues, but I respect her opinions. She's very detail-oriented, and she spends a lot of time to check all the bills and stuff and questioning our administration. Dr. Yuna Chen is probably the smartest and the nicest woman I ever met. Although she does not speak that much at the public meetings, but I get phone calls a lot over the weekend and in the evenings, and especially we have items that needs to be discussed. I need to pass Dr. Yuna Chen first before I can go somewhere. So I'm gonna really miss both of them, and thank them for the past 3 years, the volunteer service, a thankless job. And Elizabeth, I know you. You will not be a stranger, and I hope to see you more on this side of the aisle. And I do not agree. This is a cheap sheet. I don't agree with Sue. That's actually, to me, that's a priceless seat that we need from the parents to provide us input with Elizabeth, who has worked on both sides, and I'm looking forward to hear more from her. I'm going to miss both of you. Thank you for your service. All right.
Jerry, there was something else I wanted
Yes.
to add. Sorry, I didn't want to bring this up before. So I just had a question about something I saw on our website, and this is for you, Dr. Bragan. I saw a request for proposal for an energy savings company, and it says that the proposals need to be addressed to the architect. I'm wondering why the bids are not being received by you and going to the architect.
Great. The Energy Savings Investment Plan is being oversought by DMR, so they're going to take those and they're going to bring this to us at the Finance Committee. They're just opening them and getting them. They're not going to evaluate whether those bids are awarded or not. DMR Architects was appointed to oversee the ESIP program, so that's why they were directed to that.
But when did we assign it to the DMR architects?
We have not assigned anything to them.
I'm sorry.
We haven't assigned anything to them. They're just
Yeah, they're an architect of record, and they've committed to overseeing it. It was done at a Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, I guess, but we approved the DMR as an architect of record as well as USA. So they were assigned the task of doing the ESIP. We didn't have to have another board resolution or appoint them because they are an architect of record. So the ESIP program was what they were overseeing and putting that together. So the RFPs were going to go to them. They were going to organize them and then bring them back to us at a Finance and Facilities Committee meeting. I forget the deadline off the top of my head.
Okay, because I just thought that the bids were generally received by the board secretary and not by the, any outside entity. Just my question, that's all.
It's a great question, and you're right. Most of the bids come directly back to us. For example, if there was a bid on busing routes, right? Or if there was a bid on companies that would do roof repairs, we would get those, we would open them, we would work with our maintenance and our facilities director, Mr. Colibus, and we would award those ourselves. The ESIP project is specific about our buildings and the energy enhancements that they can do, and the architects oversee that because they have an expertise in the mechanicals that we do not. It's typical that an architect would oversee that.
Just a follow-up question, but bids, typically we take the lowest bid, right?
Correct.
So then how does it matter if they have expertise in mechanicals or don't have expertise?
It's a great question. We know that, and what would matter is their expertise in the mechanicals to make sure the specifications are adhered to, and some of the technical knowledge that I don't have, and nor does Mr. Colibus, to make those distinctions. But again, that's not something that's done in isolation. They would bring their summary and their reports to the Finance and Facilities Committee meetings to discuss. Before we awarded any of those, it would obviously be a board vote and discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Jerry?
Yes, go ahead.
Just one more thing. I just want to say, sitting up here, I feel like, I was dead and people were talking about my interment. And I just want to say that that is absolutely not the case. The years 2020 and 2021, as Mohan has said, have been very difficult years. And I just want to say that I'm not going anywhere, and I invite as many community-based people, parents, staff, to come and be a part of the group that hears what's going on in our district and is able to give their opinions, because we are a very big district and we should be able to reach out to our board with any questions that we need to ask. So I invite everyone to join me, and they're not cheap seats.
They're not.
We are paying the bills, men and women. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so I do have a couple of questions for Dr. Bragan, because I didn't see the parents who was going to support to ask the questions here, so I'm going to ask on behalf of the parent. One is the extended absence with the concerns of the COVID. Some of the parents will want to see if we can provide some extra on the excused absence. That's question number one. And the second question is, we have seen some of the fights and things that's happening in some of our schools. And Dr. Bragan, if you can share with the community, what are the things that we are planning to do to tackle that issue, I would appreciate that. So those are the two questions.
Okay, great. Board President Shi, only two tonight?
Yes.
All right.
I might come up with a third one, so it depends on your answer.
Must be the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Regarding the absences, obviously, Darren, as many people have mentioned, and I echo too, the thoughts for our two board members that are departing. You know, they do all this hard work and dedicate all this time, and they really do it out of the kindness of their heart and for the right reasons to try to make the school district better. And Dr. Chen, as well as Mrs. Conway, I thank you personally for your service. You guys were board members when you appointed me as superintendent. Hopefully you don't regret that a couple of years out, but I appreciate it, and I'm a better superintendent for having worked with both of you, so thank you. Regarding the absences, as we said, during this time, it's been a difficult year. Everybody echoed that regarding the pandemic and its lasting impact still. And we encourage people, if they don't feel good, right, if they think they may be suspected of having the COVID or any other virus, to stay home. And perhaps there are times when they would stay home more frequently this year than in a traditional year. So anyone that exceeds the absences that are permitted, please notice the appeal process that's in place, and they will be very lenient in understanding should they have been quarantined or they were sick and they thought they were suspected of having COVID, and that is the days that put them over. We don't want to make a blanket statement that says we're going to waive everybody, because then students, unfortunately, some would take advantage of that. Not many, but I'm sure there's a some. So please assure any parents that have concerns that their child was absent due to COVID, due to quarantining, or a suspicion of maybe being ill, and they erred on the side of caution, which we encourage them to do. If those dates put them over the absences that are permitted, please file an appeal. Our principals and our administrators are very aware that appeal process will be very liberal, and we take that into consideration to look at the overall safety of the school. Regarding the fights and things, I think I mentioned at the last board meeting, we do have some students and many students that are struggling this year with a lot of different reasons. Many have been out of this, almost 75% of our students attended school remotely for almost a year and a half. And they're not acclimated to schools, and they're struggling. Where academically, some students are struggling, especially our younger students, kindergarten and first grade. Those critical learning years when you're learning the sight-sound association, phonemic awareness, grapheme awareness, and learning how to read and write. And we're doing all we can to catch them up. But some of the other skills that we're missing during those primary grades and those transitional grades in middle school and high school are, how do you get along and manage in a building with thousands of other people? And they're struggling, and we're having some increased maladaptive behaviors, some increases in altercations between students. So just one of the things of the many that we're doing is we're going to put out for a district-wide counselor positions, additional counselors. And their mission, we talked about at the Personnel Committee meeting, I believe it was yesterday, is really to be proactive and instill in children the skills and capabilities to successfully resolve conflicts before they need to resort to violence. Because once they go down that path, you know, it's really difficult to bring them back. And of course, we have the practices and the policies in place to be reactive after an incident happens. We're trying to be proactive and initiate programs and try to do something a little bit differently in these two counseling positions. And we're going to go where the schools are most in need at that time, where students are having more behavioral infractions than they typically would, and really go full force and try to put in programs via training, via being on site, working with student leaders, and really trying to get children to understand that when there's a conflict, that's an opportunity for growth and doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, an outcome that results in a violent interaction. So we're hopeful. We're working hard, as the board has charged me, to try to do things differently to improve it. And this is just one minor thing that we're doing along those lines, Mr. Shi.
And how about the parent seminar that was scheduled?
See, I knew there would be a follow-up question.
That was supposed to be part of your answer. You missed it.
That's true. Mr. Shi did ask this a while ago. We're working with our PATH counselors. You know, we have a great association with Rutgers University and their behavioral health clinicians that work in our schools, as well as our supervisory team. And I reached out to him, we talked about it a few weeks ago, putting together a forum for our parents on how to help our children that are struggling, both academically, emotionally, socially, and some things and behaviors, one, to watch for and things that they could do to help support them in the home environment. We were all set to go this week, but we decided this probably wasn't the best week for families and parents, with the holidays coming up. So we're going to do it I don't know if we have the exact date, but somewhere in mid-January. More parents have availability. Hopefully there'll be no snow at that point. And we're going to have that parent clinic to try to help our parents as well.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else on this side? See none, we'll open up for public comments. So 6 minutes, your name and address. Okay, the gentleman, you.
Jim Kelly, Route 27. I worked...
Can you do me a favor? Can you make this a little bit higher?
Pardon me?
Make this a little higher so we can hear it.
The microphone, sir, we're having trouble hearing you. If you could raise the microphone up.
Just raise the microphone a little bit so you can...
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Jim Kelly, from Route 27. I worked in TJ for 25 years. I wanted to compliment the orchestra at TJ this year. I went to the winter concert, and it was fantastic. They only had one microphone, so you could not hear the chorus. When I was there, they had 3 or 4 microphones set up, and you could hear the chorus and everything going. The main reason I came to tonight's meeting is about the school calendar. Why did you eliminate Veterans Day from the calendar? It used to be one of the biggest holidays in the school calendar, and TJ had unbelievable ceremonies for the veterans either just before or just after Veterans Day. Now it's completely ignored. I went to the board office and contacted Dr. Bragan, but he wasn't there. I sent an email to him and an email to the board president, and no reply on what they're intending to do. And I think if you're going to continue not to have Veterans Day on the calendar or as a day off, it's a shot at the veterans.
Thank you. You want to answer that question?
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Mr. Kelly, I appreciate your comments, and I apologize if I didn't get back to you. If that ever happens, please call again and email me. I try to get back to people pretty regularly, so my apologies on that. The school calendar is always a difficult time when we go over the days. There's 180 days that we have to be in session, and we try to accommodate, as many different holidays as we can, and sometimes it's more difficult than others depending on the calendar. One of the discussions about Veterans Day, though, was for children, it's been our experience, and what happened at Lindenall School this year, as some of the board members commented at a previous meeting, is an example. For children especially, sometimes it's more valuable for them to be in the room, to be in the classroom, and have some of the presentations where we do bring in some veterans across different time spans and different combat situations where they may have served in different areas, and have the children have an opportunity to interact with those veterans at that time. You talked about Thomas Jefferson.
It was completely ignored this year.
Yeah, understood. I'm saying it about maybe that school. I will follow up on that, but it wasn't ignored district-wide, and the opportunity for classroom activities to occur where we recognize and honor the sacrifices our veterans made. I remember Thomas Jefferson when Mr. Capaccio was there, and they have the helicopter land on the back of the field, and he did this extraordinary event, and I'm sure you remember that too. That's why you're saying that. I will follow up with our principals, though, if we are in session during that time. The expectation is we honor and recognize our veterans for the services they provided to us personally in our country, because without them, we wouldn't be here. So we're on the same page. We'll see what we can do for the calendar moving forward.
And I think to try to get more microphones to the school.
Got that noted down. Absolutely, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Venkat?
Good evening, everyone. Venkat Bandi. I would like to thank Convoy and Dr. Chen And Conway already spoke to you a couple of meetings back that how much you missed. And in fact, I don't mind saying that it's a shame that the residents didn't vote for you, having your experience, having your other stuff. And I also don't want to undermine Dr. Chen's contributions, which Shannon had clearly mentioned, her contributions to the curriculum committee. I think, Dr. Chen, many parents or many residents may not be knowing you having a PhD degree from Chicago, and the kind of contributions that you made to help many students get into the honors is not something that we forget, and we thank you for being part of that curriculum committee and your contributions. Having said that, one simple observation, there used to be 6 women in the BOE. I think starting January, it will be only 4. So the women becoming minority, which I don't like, nothing against Brian and Doug, but obviously women is going to be a minority on this board. And thank you, Mr. Shi, for bringing those 3 questions, so which allows me to give my other questions. Dr. Bragan, those excused absences 3, which I brought it up around a month back, the reason that I think you guys need to give a serious thought about it is, one of the parent has already consumed 3 of those excused absence because his kid not contracted COVID, but having a cough and cold. But now last week, they sent the kid to the school because they don't want to take a risk. So now, if the 4th time if they send the kid and you don't increase that 3 to 5 or 6 excused absences, so you'll be seeing the 6 students being forced to send to school by those parents. I think we should be able to avoid and accommodate certain things. So I know that there will be some misuse of the parents that you guys need to worry, but I think if you guys can give some preference to that and at least make an announcement in a week or 2, that would be really great. And second thing is, I don't know whether it is the right time to do it, but you guys need to think about the TikTok, the gun issue that came up. The entire country was panicked, the schools, and not only a lot of parents didn't send the kids to the school on that day, and I also observed some teachers didn't show up. So I don't think elementary and middle schools will have a challenge, but in the near term, I think Mr. Shi and your board has to think about putting some thought leadership on it, that because we don't have enough police to cover both high schools. So do you have enough infrastructure that will be ready, enough person will be ready to detect metal detectors and all that stuff? So I'm not saying that guns are, at least touch wood, Edison seems to be a bit safe, but we never know that one wrong person can really mess up our thing. I think the metal detectors and all that stuff may be a lot of infrastructure cost, but I think you guys might need to be ready to invest as and when the threat becomes prevalent. So it's only a recommendation because we don't want to regret after in a year or after 6 months that we should have thought about it. And this is personal to me that I feel I came from the West Coast. We always used to have 2 to 3 weeks of Christmas vacation. And all the colleges have Christmas vacation. Elder siblings are coming from colleges, but the younger siblings are only having a week vacation. So the American way of living, that's what I'm told the dream is, the summer holidays and the Christmas holidays. And I think with a so much diversified town, we are giving a lot of regional, country-wise holidays, but I have one observation there. I found 3 or 4 holidays that are coming in an isolated Wednesday, which is not helping the parents and which is not helping students. Why do we need to have a holiday on Fridays? Wednesdays or Tuesdays, which is not combined with a long weekend. If you guys can think, you guys may not agree because obviously you have more responsibility of meeting the demands of various cultures and various diversified parents, but I think Christmas holiday should be 2 weeks on par with other states. I don't know whether it is feasible or not, just a thought for you guys. And if you look back from the last year, the food change vendor, the Lincoln School updates, the cricket grounds, the new fundings, that esports that has been introduced in Edison High School, I think a lot's happening. I think I would like to ask the new board to think about it. I think I haven't seen a wedge between the North and South in the last 2-3 years, but slowly after this election, I think the North and South wedge is becoming bigger. Don't know who is creating it. Was it politically motivated? I just want to advise and warn the new board to keep an eye to avoid using the North and South language in your meetings. Obviously, all schools are important. I have came here even though my son is not in the high school. I requested Principal Ross to improve the EHS rating to help us, and which he's doing a great job. So if EHS is not doing it and JP is doing good, doesn't matter. If JP is not doing good and EHS is doing well, doesn't matter. At the end of the net, Edison is coming down from the entire NJ level. So I think we should work both of them at the same level. I think we should help parents and students to understand that both schools are on par, and people should not prefer that the other school is better than this school. So thank you.
Thank you.
Venkat, you always provide rational comments, so I appreciate that. You know, you raised some good points about the communicating about the excused absences, so I appreciate that. The tic-tac gun challenge was frightening for all of us. I'm sure anyone that has parents or works with schools understands it. You know, if it was up to me, I'd blow up all that social media and get rid of it, but, you know, unfortunately, that's the world our children live in. And, you know, we were in close contact with the police that day, and it was also the New Jersey State Police ROC sent out a notification that there were no credible threats associated with it, but it's still frightening for all of us, especially in today's day and age. I will talk to the board about, you know, the possibility of metal detectors. We'll look into that. There's pluses and minuses to that. Some districts have it, some districts don't, and we'll have, that's a board discussion that we will definitely have. That's not my decision, and we will talk about that. Regarding Christmas vacation for 2 weeks, Venkat, I'm with you. I'll take 2 weeks. But looking at the calendar overall, we have we created the calendar for three years in a row last year, so I think we have one more year on this calendar, and we've tried to do it in those cycles. So when it comes up again, we'll make sure we take all that into consideration. At the end of the day, you have to go 180 days. That's a minimum from the state requirements. How those days are delineated out, no matter how we do it, we recognize, having been in this business for a little bit of time, we're gonna make somebody unhappy. So we try to come to a middle ground where we upset the least amount of people, but points well taken, and we'll take a look at all that, so thank you.
Okay, here's the lady in the back.
Good evening. I'm Penny Montana, 1134 Waterford Drive. I'm commenting on Dr. Chen's AB schedule possibility for the middle school. It's just as a teacher of music for the past 23 years, I think it would be detrimental to our music program, our arts programs, our world language program, to have kids only on a semester program. They truly need the continuity even if it's not every day, throughout the whole school year. A deficit of possibly more than 6 months if they finish in June and they don't start up again until January. There's just going to be so much knowledge lost during that time. The performances that we had after remote learning were wonderful. However, they were very difficult to get to the caliber that they were at. I know my students had their concert last Thursday. My daughter Haley, who's here, had her concert with Mr. Listener this past week, and they were wonderful, but they were tough to get to that. And I think if you're going to consider that, just make sure whatever you consider, it's something where the students have contact with their teachers throughout the school year, not on a pull-out basis, but as a class, and something where they're seeing it on their teachers on a regular basis.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Just on that, Patty, it's not Dr. Chen's schedule. I just want to clarify that. You know, there was something that was brought up at the curriculum committee to be discussed and to be looked at. Make sure you share that feedback, though, with your principal and with your supervisors. You know, we want input from the teachers. Obviously, they're the ones that work with the students the most closely on a regular basis. And there's some pluses and minuses to both schedules. And at some point, you know, you have to try to weigh what's best and what's in the best interest of the children. And some of those, the AB schedule has benefits and deficits, and the semester schedule has benefits and deficits too. I'm sure the board, when we get to that point, we make a decision, we'll weigh in on all that. And we're in this phase right now of gathering information, so please share that with your building level administration and your supervisors. But thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Tony.
Tony DiPasquale, Pine Street. With the new variant that they have and all the numbers going up and stuff like that, I know some schools have decided to go remote, And I'm just wondering, at this point, is there any consideration that in January, because of the holidays and kids being with the families and all that, do you think there would be any consideration of the district going remote? And what would be the criteria for that to happen? Or is it only based on, like, if the kids are in school and based on the numbers actually in our district? What is the whole basis for possibly if we did go remote in January? Because again, things I do know are getting bad. I also want to thank Dr. Chen and Ms. Conway for the great work you guys have done. I know it's difficult, and the time you have to put into the board, it's a lot, and it's a big commitment. And we definitely need to honor those that do put their time in to the board and helping our children. So I want to thank you both for that, and all the board members for the whole year, the time you've all taken out to do for our kids, and just appreciate that. And then I just have one last question. I know it's been asked a few times, but I think it was asked probably about 2 months ago, but there was an IT study, and the response when somebody asked about it was, well, we can't give it out yet because it hasn't been told to the board. The results haven't been told to the board yet. And I'm just wondering, I'm guessing this was done, I don't know, in the spring and the winter. I don't remember, when it was mentioned. But I'm just wondering how long it takes for the results. If you have the results, have they been to the board? Do I need to Oprah that for me to get a copy of that? Will I be able to get a copy of that if I do request it? So that's all the questions I have, and have a great holiday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Remote criteria, IT study.
Regarding the school going remote and the number of cases, obviously we're aware that the Omicron variant has been spreading more rapidly within the community, within the nation, right, as it's migrated over the pond to the United States. The cases so far, if we look at last week's cases in the district that were reported where we had positive COVID cases, it was 45 cases. Now, while that's more than we've had, in weeks past, some weeks we had as low as 4 or 5, some weeks 12. 45 was the highest week at this point, and it still reflects less than 1/4% of our staff and students. 1/4%. We have about 16,500 students enrolled in the district currently, over 2,000 employees. And while anyone that's sick or anyone that was impacted by the disease, for them personally, it's a significant issue. When we look at the bigger pictures, should that low percentage necessitate us closing the school? At this point, if you asked me, I would say no. We will monitor it and see how things go, see how things progress. We do have conversations with my colleagues. We meet every Wednesday morning via Zoom for the 25 districts in Middlesex County. I was on conversation before this with the superintendent from Woodbridge Township. They're comparable in size to us. They have a few more cases than we do, and they're not looking at going remote or closing either. But we'll take all that into consideration. I don't know how things are going to progress. We don't know that. We evaluate it regularly. Dr. Aldarelli takes the lead with the issues that are related to our cases and with COVID, and he's in constant communication with, we're fortunate in Edison to have our own Department of Health. Other districts have to rely on the county Department of Health. And working with them, we'll make that decision moving forward. It's not something we'll do lightly, but it is something that we try to take everything into consideration, health and safety of the students, and the impact of them being totally remote. We know without question, totally remote, as great as our teachers and administrators did in trying to implement a program successfully and with fidelity, it pales into comparison to being in person. We know that. We're seeing it. We're seeing the impact I mentioned a little bit earlier about some of the maladaptive behaviors. So it's not something we want to do lightly. It's not something we want to do unless it's absolutely necessary. So we're weighing all those factors in, and we'll keep you posted. Regarding the IT study, I forget where we left off with that information. We shared it with our board and our committees. We made some internal decisions on what we were doing. We'll look into that if that's for public consumption. I don't know if that's an operable document. but I'll take a look at that, and I will get back to you personally tomorrow, Mr. DePasquale.
Yeah, Maria.
Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson. My first point was to discuss how is the Edison schools are dealing with the mental health issues. What are young students going through, any drug addictions, the social and emotional learning of coming back into schools, the adjustments of being back into schools, and in the sad cases, if there's a death of a loved one. Is there regressions from the students not being in schools? And how are we handling that? Just to follow up for the traffic study, for the light of the Boulevard of Eagles and Old Post Road, just wondering how that's coming along. Thank you to Elizabeth Conway and Dr. Chen for your years of service. You have helped this community. A question about the Stelton School with the architects. Will the facade be left alone? It's just the interiors that are going to be worked on? And I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. The mental health issues are something that's a significant concern for us, and when we planned for the return in September over the summer, we did put in place additional supports with our counselors. We had trainings for those and our teachers to be more cognizant and maybe recognize some more students that are in distress. I know our PATH counselors were actively engaged in classrooms and trying to be proactive to help students and to, again, identify those who are in crisis. We have had more students with mental health issues that we recognize. We do. This pandemic's effect is still going on. Our children are still struggling to get back to some degree of normalcy, as all are we. I had a conversation today and I said something like, I hope next September we're back to normal. That's like the third September I've referenced where we talked at. We didn't think this would be ongoing as long as it is, right? But it is. And it's something we have to deal with. As Mr. DePasquale mentioned, we're still thinking about maybe we may have to close at some point. We thought that was in the rearview mirror a couple of months ago. It's a frightening time. And I'm 56 years old, and if I worry about these things, what are our 8-year-olds thinking about, right? What are our 12 and 14-year-olds? They have enough on their plate to worry about just their body changing and becoming, adults and developing in school and being academicians and where they're going to college and who's their boyfriend, their girlfriend, and my calculus tests and all that, and add to that whether, I'm going to get an Omicron variant and pass away, right? It's traumatic for our kids. So we're realizing that, we're sensing that, we're seeing it on a daily basis. I wish I had good news for you, Maria, and could say, no, everything's hunky-dory, we fixed everybody, and everybody's perfect. That's not the case. There's ongoing issues. As Mr. Shee said, we're going to have that parent training in January to try to help us to provide some skills to be proactive and observe some maybe triggers and some signals that we observe in our children so we could help them. But this is tough on them. It's tough. It's tough on our teachers. They're exhausted. They can't wait for Christmas, and even, the people that don't celebrate Christmas, it's a break. They get a chance to breathe. This has been an exhausting year for everyone. And, I talked about it on the meeting on last Thursday. There's a substitute shortage. We've raised the prices for subs. Other districts have raised it significantly. The money's not the issue. The people aren't there. So then our teachers have to fill in when someone's absent. They normally have, a time to get their lunch and prepare their lessons and relax maybe for a little bit in between. They don't have that anymore. And yeah, they're getting a little bit extra compensation for that, but their day is now longer and more exhausting. And we're seeing that on a regular basis. The 1 month, I think I said in October, I think we had 4,931 coverages, periods, and that's humongous. That equated to 40 substitutes a day that weren't covered. That's a lot of work for our teachers. So this is impacting everybody. So we feel it. We're trying to be as sensitive and do the best we can. But I've asked teachers, what can we do to support you? What can we do? They look at me like, give me dime off? Well, that would make more subs, right? So I hope everybody gets a chance during this winter break to decompress, spend time with your family, and just forget about life for a little bit. The light on Old Post and Boulevard of Eagles, we talked about that at the Liaison Committee. I don't think that's moving anywhere right now, but we'll revisit that again. Anyone that's here during that time of day, we recognize that traffic. And the Stelton Road, that's just preliminary conversations. I think the board would make that decision. We don't really know the exact numbers, as Mrs. White said. It was just preliminary. I think anyone that's been around this town for a period of time to recognize the historical significance of that facade out front, and you know, it's beautiful architecture. And if that could be, if we could keep that, we would, I believe. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Manesh.
Minesh Patel, 240 Wallman F. First of all, Dr. Bragan, I'll ask a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
One of them is, Ms. Peng just said something about curriculum, changing of books, changing new studies. Are you talking to directors, principals, or teachers who are teaching the kids? Or are you guys just deciding on your own what to teach? Because time after time, some of the changes that you're making, kids are complaining at home, because somebody just made a big phone call today saying, "Uncle, we got problems at school. You better go to the BOE meeting." You are going to change something without asking teachers or directors. And when the kids find out, they panic. Come on, at this time, we don't need panics in the kids' mind what's going to be changed tomorrow. You know, you guys are here to help the kids. And when you change something that affects kids, where is the kids going to go? Not every parent want to listen. You know what they say? Go talk to your principal. Well, principal don't have time to talk to 600, 700 kids. I will call you tomorrow and make it personal phone call for this to tell you what the project I was talking about. I don't want to make it public today, but it's something everybody should understand, because she just said, and Ms. Conway asked the question, did you do the meetings? And the answer is no. You didn't talk to the teachers, you didn't talk to directors, you didn't do the meetings, and you did it. Second thing, J.P. Stevens is one of the biggest problems we have when it comes to traffic for years and years. J.P. Stevens has 7 streets that can be opened up where a little bit of traffic can move off to New Dover or the side streets on both ends. Did anybody talk about it? No. The best person you could talk to is Miss P. She's been a principal there for many years, and she could give you that advice. I don't think you talked to her either. I don't think you guys made one phone call to her to say, do you have an input in this? Why don't you talk to the current principal, current assistant principal? These are the things. You just said a few minutes ago, I hope the board is not, well, I don't want to use the word. They're happy with you. We're doing meetings here. Look at the lights in Edison. I won't talk about JP today, I'll talk about Edison today. Because my buddy Venkat says, don't do north and south. Look at the lights here. You're sitting here once a month, or maybe twice a month, in this auditorium, and nobody paid attention to the lights? This is where our kids study. Your architect tell you about solar panels, the roof panels, outside grass. They have all the ideas. What the hell are they doing here? They never come inside? So are they choosing what they want to make money on and giving it directly to you instead of the board? Doctor, this is serious allegation, and I'm making it today because I just found out on 2 sides, and it's from your own board. The third thing I will talk about is every school has a problem of traffic. It happened not too long ago on 23rd, 23 condos. You look at JP Stevens, you look at this school, You look at James Madison, are you talking to transportation, not our transportation, but mayor's transportation department? Maybe widening the roads so there's a special lane to make turns, and it's a longer lane, not only 4 cars, which locks up James Madison, JMP, Woodrow Wilson. I could give you plenty of schools, and I don't travel there every day, but time to time I do end up there. And I see this repeatedly, that we have this issue. But everybody talking about, we'll do it, it goes to the next board. And this is the 9th board that we're talking about JP's transportation issue. Thank you, Ms. Conway, for hard work, and we'll work together on this side of the bench, and it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board President, can I respond to a few of this?
Yes.
And Manesh, I hope you do call me and we get a chance to sit down and discuss whatever that specific concern is. Regarding some of the other more global ones, when we do the curriculum, the board doesn't decide that, nor does myself independently or the curriculum committee. It's done with input from the teachers, from the supervisors, from the principals, and the curriculum is written by the teachers. The teachers write the curriculum. So they're involved in the process from the beginning to the end. Is every teacher involved? No, it's the ones that volunteer that want to participate and step forward and take that initiative. So the idea that somehow that's from the top down, it's not accurate. And I'd love to sit down with you and go over that and share with you. If there's a specific thing you spoke about, please call me, we'll talk about it. JP Stevens traffic, and the traffic throughout the district, we do work with the mayor's office. Mrs. White has worked really hard with the liaison committee in getting an ongoing dialogue with the mayor's office that we hope will continue with the change in mayor. The mayor-elect has been at these meetings on a regular basis as well, so we look forward to that. And as we said, we were working with the police and the traffic police officers and Sergeant Turner and addressing the things at JP. And the 7 streets, we talked about that. That's a township issue. We can't do that, but we would request. We talked about having Floyd open more regularly and some of those other side streets. There are some parameters, not just related to the residents there, but the wetlands. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that JP Stevens is surrounded by wetlands. Even the expansion of a parking lot is an issue there because of that. But those are things that we are definitely talking to people and working on. And Manesh, I want to thank you for bringing up the point about this auditorium, because this board sitting here, these 9 people, have voted for and decided to spend a significant amount of money to renovate this. So next year when you're sitting here, these will be new seats, new lights. Look up, these lights, brand new. Stage will be renovated, and it'll be a quality place with new HVAC as well to provide at least a large area for air conditioning, as with the cafeteria in this building. So this board is attending to issues and things. You did make an assertion that somehow the architect gave me money directly. That's personally, you did say money. You said giving me money. No, you said giving me money directly is what you said. We could watch the video. And I assure you that's not happening anywhere. The only one that gives me any money is the Board of Education through the contract, and I hope I provide a service that's worthy of it, and I try my best to do that. I think I hit on all those things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, you know the drill, okay? Do we have any other, yes. Any first-timers? Any first-timers? Yeah, okay.
I think Dr. Bregan, last night in a couple of our groups, a lot of parents has raised the concerns about the grading, which Shannon and Jerry has brought it up. But then I realized I don't want to be the odd man out saying that, no, that's not happening. But then I realized that how much fortunate that my kids are to study in John Adams. And I wrote a lengthy note late last night to Dr. Valentine that the kind of issues that the grading, quizzes are not graded, tests are not graded, and all the stuff, if I look back, how much fortunate that we have a math teacher, her name is Miss Kramer. She used to send 3 days before the test to the parents that this is what we have learned, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. The quiz is graded this and given to the students. We walk them through this. And next Wednesday is the test. This mail comes on Friday to us. Monday morning, 8 o'clock, I'm in my room. The kids can come in and actually ask the questions. So she makes herself available in the morning. She actually grades everything. And the tests are not given to the students back home because they wanted to use it to the next year. But the teacher actually makes the kids to write those answers and the mistakes in the yellow paper. That my daughter writes that, oh, I made this mistake, I've overlooked it, and how I will not be repeating it. Then the parent has to sign it. So if I say this on those WhatsApp and Facebook forms, the parents will jump on me. But I ended up thanking Valentine about that teacher. And I think the supervisors should look at such kind of teachers and the practices that they follow. I think a lot of honors kids in the maths are not getting good scores on C&Ds, but I can assure you that if you look at Mrs. Kramer's classes, I think people are doing much better. The same thing with I learned about Spanish teacher, that she reviews the work by 5 o'clock, and at night, 9 o'clock, she sends a notice. Her name is Senorita Finucane. She actually sends a note at 9 o'clock as a reminder, you completed only 75%, you missed this 25%. How many teachers really go even in private schools to review the homework that was due next day morning at 8:30, at night 9 o'clock? I think maybe out of 1,000 teachers, maybe 5-10% may not be doing it well, especially in the high schools. But I think your elementary and middle school teachers are doing a fabulous job. I think we have stopped recognizing those things, that your teachers do this. And I think I wrote a lengthy note that how much I'm taking what the middle school JAMS is doing, I'm taking as a granted. I think I have only 26 minutes, but Jerry, I have one question that SATs, UCLA's 8 colleges are not taking it. Harvard is not going to consider till 2027, 2028. A lot of IVs are coming in. And I think some of our students are actually failed in mathematics in the BC. The guy is GNT, and I just need 5 minutes, 5 seconds. GNT is honors, but the kid is failing in the BC, and the teacher is not communicating with the parent. Teacher didn't actually sat with the student. And the student has to cut down after the marking period 1 to the honors, instead of going to the BC to the regular honors. I think we are actually harming even at least 5-6 kids. 5-6 kids, it's not, we are not doing our job. Okay. Please pay attention how you can help those high school kids not to drop, and what kind of things that these supervisors, I'm not blaming them, supervisors and CEOs should actually pay attention to help those 5 kids. Sorry for that. Thank you.
Okay, so you asked me about the question about SATs. It's very specific. So we can sit down with Dr. Bragan and talk about the specifics of the SATs. So that's what I'm going to say. And I really commend you for appraising the good work our teachers have done, and to our principal. And a lot of times, our teachers' extra effort are not being recognized. And I really appreciate what you did with the 2 teachers that you mentioned, the Spanish teacher and the math teacher. Thank you for doing that. And, they're doing great work, and especially during this difficult time, we should recognize the great contributions they have made, especially those who went out of their way to help our students. And I thank you for doing that. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, Board President, yes. I have a request. It will only be the season of giving if we can give Christo 9 minutes so he gets his 6 minutes from previous and 3 minutes for his rebuttal, as a great gesture as the board. So, Christo, you have 9 minutes if the board agrees.
Thank you very much. I'm fine with 6, but if someone speaks after me, I don't mind coming to get my 3 minutes as afforded to me by the law. Merry Christmas. I just want to stress, hello, lawyer. God bless you all. I love you all. I love you. Where are you, Miss Conway and Miss Chen? But it's Christmas season. Let's not forget Jesus Christ. Let's not forget his mother. what she had to endure. She had to watch her child be tortured. So, Dr. Bragan, we see across the United States with Board of Educations, they're at war with the parents. Oftentimes, a lot of parents are going to jail, and I just want to say to the lawyer and to Dr. Bragan, I appreciate the both of you being very professional. I recently went to a Metuchen Board of Education meeting where they'll take the governor's executive order and do their own interpretation just to keep out members of the public they don't like. No, at Woodbridge Board of Education, but it was the Metuchen mayor who was the lawyer. Your buddy over there, he's not good enough to help you out on the ethics charges. I'm going to defeat you on that. Let me know if there's an update on that, on your ethics violations. Yeah. I hope we find a new property to build the school, and not just do an expansion on the north side. We have some members of the public here today who actually threatened me many times with a lawsuit and threatened me physically. How is that going for you guys? Specifically for exposing you, Mr. B-Rao. Jerry, would it be an ethics violation if one of the members of the Board of Education, let's say, one of their friends gets involved in a lawsuit with a teacher here at one of the districts, Dr. Bragan? Would it be unethical for that Board of Education member to, let's say, take this person over to another association organization with a lot of cash and help this pay for this person's lawyer, this person being an illegal citizen? Does our Board of Education now take sides of illegal citizens, their personal friends, over the parents, students, and teachers are supposed to look after? Would that be an ethics violation? Well, you're going to answer me after, of course. If that's the case, I think Shivi and Burrell, they should do the right thing and remove themselves. Remove yourselves after the reorg meeting. Hopefully the board can pick 2 other members that are qualified and will live up to their ethical responsibilities, their fiduciary duties, not just do what they want to do and what's best for themselves and their friends. What am I talking? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. 2 minutes. Huh? Huh?
Those 2 board members are leaving by end of the year.
All right. Well, I already said, Miss Chen, you know how much I love you. I appreciate you. You did a lot of good work. I love you the most when you come to library board meetings as a member of the public and give some help to Sam Joshi. I'm never going to forget about that. He deserved every bit of hell that you gave him. Miss Conway, I love you. I respect you. You're there for the special education students. And, you know, probably the only one with integrity, one of the few up there with integrity. I hope, you know, we do what Miss Beth Maroney did in the past when she had her last chance to bash Jerry. Let's hope you take your last chance. Remember, today's your last chance. Bash Jerry, bash Burrell, expose Burrell for what he did during the election season. We know what he tried to do. He was so afraid of you, Miss Conway, that he did everything in his power to intimidate you, to try to make deals to get you off the ballot, and you still stayed on the ballot. That shows how much integrity you do have. These people, they love to throw any deal they're like devils, these guys. They'll throw any deal your way until you accept. The fact you didn't accept, I have so much respect for you. The same way I didn't accept their 500 free signs and $2,000, and believe me, I really needed that $2,000, but, you know, it doesn't matter who made that offer. What, are you guilty? Are you guilty? Why are you jumping? Were you the one who made the offer? He was the one who made the offer, but, you know, guilty? Feeling guilty about it?
Crystal, don't engage.
Well,
yeah.
Bamal made the offer on your behalf. You were
Time out.
standing a few feet away from him. Will I get the 3 minutes? We'll see. Maybe someone wants a rebuttal. Will I get the
Okay.
3 minutes?
Do anybody else? Okay.
After anyone.
All right. See none, can I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Bureau, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. See you guys next year. Have a happy, healthy holiday season. Thank you very much.
Season's greetings to everybody.